Hey, I'm Cameron with Yates Contracting, and on this episode of Remodeling America, I'm going to go through the steps to remove a toilet, to prep the flange, to get it ready for installing another toilet, and how to install a toilet on top of the area where you just removed that one. Whether it's the same toilet or a different toilet, the steps are the same. So, I hope you enjoy. Alright, so we're ready to put our toilet back in, and we've taken out our stop from the toilet itself, whatever we're clogging it up with to prevent the gases from coming out. And now we need to decide basically what we're using for our seal. Now, you can use the wax ring, is usually what comes with the toilet, but we prefer to use a synthetic ring. So this one in particular, we like to use is from Korky, and it's a wax-free ring. Okay, so it's without any of the wax in it. I just like them a little bit better because I feel like the wax ones tend to fail, and they're non-adjustable. So let's say you're pushing it down, you pull it back up, or you push one way too far. Sometimes they can just create leaks. So what I like about any of these kind of rubber or synthetic ones is that they're just a little bit more user-friendly, in my opinion, and allows you to adjust a little bit more. Plus, I think it just gives you a more permanent seal. Okay, so I'll kind of show you what we're doing here. These, you definitely just want to read the directions. Okay, don't bypass the directions. Don't just throw them away because you think you know exactly what you're doing. So we open up these directions. You can pretty much see. Let's take a look. All right. So it says to determine closet flange height relative to the finished floor. So there's pretty much three different options. Okay, if it's above the finished floor, then you just go on to 4B. If it's flush with it, you go to 4C. If it's below, you go to 4D. Okay, so it gives us an above finished floor for B. So if we look at our flange here, we are above the finished floor. Okay, so we're going to 4B. And on 4B, it basically says measure the height of the flange above using a ruler. So if you don't have a ruler, it's pretty cool. They actually put this little ruler like on the piece of paper. So let's do that, and let's see what that looks like. So I'll fold this piece of paper right at the bottom of that black line there, and we're going to place this right on the finished floor, and we'll see what it goes up against the flange. So if you look there, you'll see we are right at 3/8, so just below it. Okay, so right at 3/8. So we're at 3/8 of an inch. It basically says if it's less than ½ inch, remove the thin ring, place a rubber seal with a thick foam ridge on the flange. Okay, so how it pretty much comes is it's got your hardware there, but we already have hardware and it's relatively new, so we're not going to replace it. Here's the red rubber flange, and here are the two foam gaskets that come with it. And it basically said take the thin one off and only use the thick one. Okay, so if you look at these pictures, it basically shows that the square edge is up top, okay, and the angled edge sits down into the toilet flange. Okay, so you've got the red, and then we've got the large gasket that we're going to use. Okay, that's going to go right on top, and then just line up the holes. Lined up. There we go. Okay, so this is a rule. Follow the directions. Okay, it's very simple to mess up one little mistake, and then you're going to complain about it, and you're going to say it's the manufacturer's fault, when instead all you have to do is read the directions. It doesn't take much more time. If anything, it saves you time in the end, so just read the directions. Alright, so we finished that. We've gotten our seal in place. We've got the gasket and the flange set up like they want us to. So we go to step 5, and it says set the bowl in place. Okay, so well, I guess we have to set this in place first. So we place this over top. All right, over those. That's nice. And we've got our gasket here. Everything's in place, and everything's ready for us to put the bowl in. Okay, so it sits up a little high, and we'll see exactly how much but this pushes down a lot if we need it to, and that's what I like. But what happens is, what's really nice is if it pushes down and we have to reset, you see how it kind of pushes right back up? That's why I like these. I will say sometimes with these different flanges, it does tell you to do one thing, and for some reason, whatever the toilet that you have is just not allowing you to do it with that. So you just got to be careful if you're going to alter it yourself. But try and follow the directions best you can. Obviously, everybody's situation is different, so we'll see how this one works out. So now I'll go grab the toilet, and I'll start to set it in place. See what that looks like. So there's a couple different ways of bringing the toilet in. Sometimes it helps with 2 people. There is a one-man way that I like. You kind of just grab the toilet by its base and walk over the toilet. And then you get it in place. Just make sure you line up your bolts on the other side of the toilet. Is it good? This could be one of those instances I'm talking about. Got a little bit of rock to this toilet, so and it's going to take a lot to tighten that down. I don't think it's going to tighten all the way, but so I'm going to try this other flange. Since we were so close to that ½ inch, I'm going to try this other flange and just see what it looks like, okay? Like I said, you just have to be careful, make sure that you're okay, comfortable with. If for some reason this fails, it's on you. I feel like I've got a little bit of a better seal now. You can see that foam being pressed in there. I like that a lot better, okay? It's got a little wobble to it, so we're gonna fasten that down, and I think that'll get us where we want to be, okay? Get you a little closer, see what we can do. So the height of the flange doesn't change, so the red flange itself basically stays the same height. What happens is that foam gives you that little bit of seal, plus it keeps the pressure on the toilet. It just tightens up everything, okay? So we were so close, we're about 1/8 of an inch difference from what they wanted, and these two are just, this is almost 3 times the size of the other one. So sometimes it might not work out for you. Just realize though that you have to follow these directions, or they might not warranty the product, but you're taking it into your own hands, all I'm saying. Sometimes you just have to be careful because the directions are there, but every toilet can be a little bit different. And this one, it just wasn't working. This heavier, this thicker one wasn't really working for this toilet. I think it's meant for a little bit more than that. That was like that tipping point. So I went for the smaller one. You'll just have to figure out your own situation, see what you might need. All right. So if you go here, you want to make sure that you've lined up your bolts as close to right and center as possible. That is that side. Here's this side, pretty close. All right, and then you want to sit back and look at your toilet and see if it looks nice and center to you. Okay, I usually like to look at the back. Looks like we're a little bit out. Let's get this top on here nice. Okay, and that looks pretty good. All right, toilet looks pretty good to me. So we'll go ahead and get our bolts, and we'll start tightening this down. Okay. All right, you always want to use your washer, and then you've got your nut on top of that. Sometimes the edges, if you've already clipped these bolts, the edge of them is a little bit buggered up, and you might have to just give it a little bit of love. But this one we left the same bolts on there, so it shouldn't be any difference. Okay, so you do that side, and then you come over to the other side. Make sure you still like what that location is. It looks good. Put your washer on. Sometimes it depends on what kind of bolt, what kind of covers you have on here, like the caps for these bolts. But we have ones that screw onto the screw itself, so those go on afterwards. But sometimes those other caps, they go on with this washer, so you just have to keep an eye out. Okay. All right, we got both on. We hand tighten as much as we can. We still have a little bit of wobble in this toilet, so we need to tighten these down. Okay. It's important not to tighten them down too much because you don't want to crack the toilet. So you have to just keep tightening them down a little bit and a little bit at a time, both sides, until you have a nice secure toilet that you're happy with. All right, so we're going to do that right now. Adjustable wrench. I usually like to put a little bit of weight on the toilet. Turns. Alright, gonna go to the other side. Turns. Righty tighty. Check the toilet, still a little wobble to it. So this is securing it to the flange as well as pushing into our gasket that we have in there too. So you want to make sure that you do it nice and even. Don't go too fast. Keep checking the toilet. Okay, a little bit more. Careful too, because if sometimes you start going a little too hard, these washers will actually start to bend. I think that's, in my mind, almost like a little bit of a safety. So I'll do one little tight for just good luck there. One more there, nice and snug. One more here. All right, and it feels pretty good. What I usually do for the final test is that do a little seat check. All right, so let's go ahead and pretend we're gonna sit on the toilet. If I can feel any. We got a little tiny bit of movement. Okay, so I'm gonna tighten it up some more. Okay, and then we'll take a look in a second. So after you have your bolts in and the toilet's good, and you're happy that it's not that it's set in where it needs to be, and you want to put your caps on. So we use these caps. I like them a lot, so I recommend these. I think they stay in place better and they're easier to put on. So basically what happens is you've got two parts. You've got kind of a cap, an inset piece that is female threaded on the inside, and that it comes with two of them, okay? And you got to see what kind of bolts you have. So you put the bigger one on and it just slides over top. You've got the wrong one, okay? So go back and grab the smaller threaded piece. And you want to look, just like always, you want to follow these directions, okay? They're relatively self-explanatory. Screw this on there, screw that on there, and you're good. So it says thread plastic, let me see if I can get you in there. Thread plastic insert, flat side up, onto the closet bolt on top of the nut, push the cap on the insert till it sits flush with the toilet. Okay, so flat side up. Oh, well, there's two flat sides, but we'll go this way. And here we go. So what I usually do is I just put this right on. Oop. Just enough on the top because you don't know actually how much you're dealing with here. So then I start with, and then I put my cap on. Sorry. Then I put my cap on and I start twisting that. Push that all the way down, and then I just do a couple little tightens. And there you go. It stays in there, it's nice and tight, and you don't have to worry about that. And you pretty much do the same thing to the other side. Okay, so I've gotten my toilet nice and snug. Now it still has a tiny bit of movement. Don't want to over tighten those bolts, so I don't want to crack the toilet, and I don't want to break the flange blowhand. So I get it as tight as I can, where I think it'll be the best. A couple things you can do if you have some really unlevel floors that you're dealing with, are you can use some plastic shims. They actually make toilet shims, and you can shim up the toilet, and that helps a lot. We don't really need that here, but what always comes under a lot of controversy about just kind of telling you how the way I do things is I actually caulk the bottoms of my toilets. Okay, some people don't. They always say that, how are you gonna know if it's leaking? So what I always do is I caulk everything except for about 2 inches on the very far back side of the toilet. For one, this helps keep it nice and sturdy. It also stops any of the pee that likes to get down there from kids. So stops any of that, keeps it nice and clean, keeps it sturdy. And if you leave that gap in the back and you do end up getting a leak eventually, it'll leak out the backside, so you'll be able to see it, so you're not trapping all that water in. So I feel like it's the best of both worlds. So I've got that done. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my toilet hooked up and check to see if we've got any leaks. So I'm going to come over here, and this is exactly where we left it, and we've got this in place. And if you didn't have this in, you're going to have to make sure you tighten that. It doesn't need any kind of sealant or pipe dough because you have a rubber washer on there, okay? And up here, they say to hand tighten these, all right? Depends on, I guess, who you are, but just get it nice and hand tight. And you'll always be able to see if anything's leaking. You can feel, oh yeah, it's nice and snug. That is nice and snug. Okay, that's good to go. That's tight. If you were putting a new toilet in, you'd probably have to put the toilet seat on, but you can do that afterwards. Let's check to make sure we don't have any leaks first, okay? So, go ahead and turn on your water. Here's your shut-off valve. If you got a quarter turn, go ahead and just turn it 1/4. Alright, so you have water going in, filling up. Always be checking for leaks constantly, all the time, okay? Looks like we're pretty good there, though. Looks like we're pretty good there. Alright, I'm going to let this thing fill up, and then we're going to flush it a bunch of times. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for any excess water that comes out around these gaps. If it does come out, it's going to come out in these areas here, there, and on the other side. So I'm going to keep my eye out. I'm going to flush it a bunch of times, and if I'm satisfied that there's no leaks, everything seems good, I'll go underneath and check and make sure we don't have any leaks underneath the house. And I go ahead and I caulk the bottom of the toilet. Like I said, I leave a small gap on the back side. I usually use a kitchen and bath white, or depending on what the color of the toilet is. I just usually use the color of the toilet. So this one will be a white kitchen and bath, non-paintable caulk, and it's supposed to last 15, 20 years, whatever they say. Do that and finish up my toilet. That's pretty much how you finish your toilet. Well, hope you liked the video. I hope you found it kind of helpful. If you did like it, if you could press the, if you could like it, well, if you could press the like thingy, that'd be cool. And then if you wanted to see more videos, or want to let know whenever we make some new videos, you can go ahead and subscribe to our channel and hit that bell for notifications. We'll let you know when we post a new video. Hopefully it's something helpful and that you guys like. So my name's Cameron, and this is Remodeling America.